Welcome to a new episode from English Plus Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to learn a few words, and we're going to learn these words in context through a story, and a very special story about underground majesty. So without further ado, let's start with the story Underground Majesty.
The hill country midway between Nashville and Louisville along Interstate 65 looks like much of the land in rural America. Its landforms are typical of vistas you will see in Tennessee, Kentucky, and the surrounding states. Yet there is nothing humdrum about what lurks beneath those ridges, bluffs, and streams. For underneath the old-growth forest of black oak, beech, sugar maple, tulip poplar, and hickory lies the world's longest cave system, Mammoth Cave, with its seemingly interminable number of underground passageways and rooms. Prehistoric hunters were the first to discover, explore, and use Mammoth Cave for shelter. Later, Native Americans also lived in the cave. About 200 years ago, American settlers came to this region. Unlike Native Americans, these settlers considered the caves to be of trivial importance. During the War of 1812, however, the cave's resources became valuable. Saltpeter used in making gunpowder was mined there. After the war, with the help of explorer guides, the cave gained national attention as a tourist attraction. Nowadays, visitors can get a foretaste of the cave's history and uses within a few hundred yards of its historic entrance. There, they will come to the Rotunda, a huge chamber that features the remains of the Saltpeter mine and was in full operation during the War of 1812. Today, Mammoth Cave is both a national park and a World Heritage Site. To accommodate its many visitors, hotels and restaurants have been built adjacent to the cave's historic entrance. As a safety precaution, many miles of its passageways have handrails that are lit with electric lights. Yet even with these improvements, the cave remains a dangerous place. In fact, all visitors must tour the cave accompanied by a park ranger.
So that was our story about Mammoth Cave, the biggest cave system in the world. So there's nothing humdrum about this place, is there? So without further ado, now let's get to it and let's start talking about the words we want to focus on in today's episode. Let's start with our very first word, humdrum. Now in our story we said, yes, you will see that the landforms are typical of vistas you will see in Tennessee, Kentucky, and the surrounding states, yet there is nothing humdrum about what lurks beneath those ridges. Yet there is something very special. Nothing humdrum, nothing ordinary, nothing commonplace, nothing boring about this place. So our first word is humdrum, H-U-M-D-R-U-M, humdrum. And if you describe someone or something as humdrum, you mean that they are ordinary, dull, or boring. And it shows your disapproval. So here we said just the opposite. We said, yet there is nothing humdrum, nothing boring about what lurks beneath those ridges. So that was our first word. Let's take a look at our second word, interminable. Now, in the story we said, for underneath the old-growth forest of black oak, beech, sugar maple, tulip poplar, and hickory lies the world's longest cave system, Mammoth Cave, with its seemingly interminable number of underground passageways and rooms. Well, when we talk about Mammoth Cave, we talk about the biggest cave system in the world, and we say interminable number of underground passageways and rooms. Do you think we are talking about a limited number, or are we talking about something that is not too many? Actually, it's just the opposite. If you describe something as interminable, you are emphasizing that it continues for a very long time and indicating that you wish it was shorter or would stop. So here, obviously, we don't want it to stop. We want it to be that big, but we're talking about something huge that seems never to end. interminable number of underground passageways and rooms. And interminable is spelled interminable. Interminable. And now let's move to the next word, trivial. Now, in the story, we talked about Native Americans who lived in the cave, and about 200 years ago, American settlers came to this region. But unlike Native Americans, these settlers considered the caves to be of trivial importance, so they didn't use them that much. They didn't think they were that important. So they considered the caves to be of trivial importance. So when you say something is trivial or of trivial importance, you are not talking about a serious and an important thing. You're talking about just the opposite. If you describe something as trivial, you think that it is unimportant and not serious. And trivial is spelled Trivial, trivial. And now for our next word, foretaste. In our story, we said, nowadays, visitors can get a foretaste of the cave's history and uses within a few hundred yards of its historic entrance. So, we're talking about a foretaste. We're not talking about the whole picture, and we're not talking about every single detail. We're talking just about a taste. But this is a very special word. It's not just a taste. It's a foretaste. If you describe an event as a foretaste of a future situation, you mean that it suggests to you what the future situation will be like. Now, this is the original meaning of the word. Now, obviously, in our story, we didn't use it exactly to talk about the future. We're talking about the past, aren't we? But here it serves like a preview. It's like when you have a foretaste of an opera or a movie, it just shows you a preview of the opera or the movie. So here it is foretaste of the cave's history and uses within a few hundred yards of its historic entrance. And by the way, foretaste is spelled Foretaste, foretaste. And now for our last word for today, adjacent. Now in our story, we said, to accommodate its many visitors, hotels and restaurants have been built adjacent to the cave's historic entrance. So, when you talk about adjacent, you're talking about something that has to do with position, where something is positioned next to something else, etc. So, if one thing is adjacent to another, the two things are next to each other. So, obviously, we're talking about position here. Adjacent is spelled adjacent, adjacent. And we usually use it as adjacent to something. We use the preposition to with it, like next to, adjacent to. All right? So these were our words for today. I hope you found them useful. I hope you liked the story. And if you ever get the chance to visit this huge cave system, just go there and let us know how it looks like. I didn't do it, but I hope one day I get the chance to go there and visit the Mammoth Cave. Before I go, I have to remind you that we have the transcript of this episode, the interactive activities on Quizlet, and the downloadable PDF activities that you can find on my website. I left you the link in the description of this episode. And remember, if you go to the website, you get to learn more words. You get to learn 20 new words every week, including the few words we include in our podcast episodes. So don't miss the chance to practice. Go get the PDF that includes the crossword puzzles, the spelling challenges, and the multiple choice quiz, among other activities. And again, Quizlet is an excellent way to practice your vocabulary, and all of our vocabulary builder episodes and all the words we have in them are included as Quizlet interactive activities. So you can get the full benefit by taking the link. And don't forget to support us on Patreon, because this is the way you will help us continue and grow into a fully fledged 24/7 internet radio that serves everybody everywhere, quality education for free. So that being said, thank you very much for listening to another episode from English Plus Podcast. This is your host, Danny. I will see you next time.